Can we get our 6 candidates up here, please? And I'll introduce all 6 of them. And what we'll do, I'll turn the meeting over to them. I'll just let everybody have at it. What we'll do is we'll allow each person to talk for just a couple of minutes. I think you know everybody, okay? This is Cori Merryman. This is John Gillette. Oh, wait, no. I'm the real John Gillette.
Oh, yeah.
This is, for those who don't know, this is John Gillette on the left, Joe Archie, Doug Schuster, Cori Merryman, John Plough, and Rodney Head. I don't know who wants to go first, but we'll allow them just to talk just for 2 or 3 minutes each, please. And then we'll open this up to the audience and let the audience have at them.
God bless America. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
My name is Cori Merryman. I am a Christian constitutional conservative Republican, and I am ready to represent you. I am a former deputy sheriff hostage negotiator for Mohave County Sheriff's Office, so I understand the needs of the Sheriff's Office and how to address it. I have the business administrative leadership skills to redirect it, as I am a business owner of the past 15 years. I currently own E3 Arms and Plum Crazy Firearms. I manufacture AR-15 rifles, and I manage over 600 accounts nationwide. Now, something I would like to do is point this out to you all. Did any of you receive a copy of this when you came in? Do not elect Cori Merryman? Okay, thank you for crimpling it up. I appreciate that. I actually had the pleasure of speaking with Senator Kelly Ward, and she said if anybody comes after you and attacks you, especially publicly like this, you have something to offer. Also, let it be known I am also the only female candidate who has been slandered in such a way. So, to address some of these claims, most of you do not know this, but my son's first day of kindergarten is today, and I would like to be there to pick him up his first day of school. So I would like to address these comments, concerns, and allegations and questions for you. The first one is licensed pilot, helicopter pilot. Fact, she was only certified. I was a licensed pilot. I called the FAA and found out why it only said certified. They were supposed to correct that issue. So to answer your question, Steve, that's what they told me. It's still listed as certified. I am not currently a licensed pilot. I never said I was. In addition, has valuable law enforcement skills. Fact, denied request to teach a general instructor school for lack of area expertise. Actually, I was denied because the training wasn't available. Excellent deputy. I was an excellent deputy. Any deputy who serves is an excellent deputy. If you are protecting and serving the people, you are an excellent deputy. In addition, it says fails to follow instruction, does not read Miranda properly, sloppy. You know what? I'm sorry. I do have doctor's penmanship. It's horrible. Always has been. Yes, I did get written up, but I can tell you this, during my career, I was never suspended, never terminated, never put on any paid administrative leave for anything during my career. In addition, a Christian Facts admits to having an affair with a former MCSO lieutenant who was arrested, fired for assaulting his wife after confrontation. Okay, if this was true, I would have been terminated as well. Is that not a fact? In that memo, it actually alleges that I went into work bragging about it. If that was true, if I went into work bragging about it, what man would do that? What man would happily married man go to work bragging about an affair? I don't know one. So I'll tell you what, that's also false. In addition, MCSO recognized her talents, hired me as deputy sheriff. Absolutely, I was told that when I was hired. We had people with military experience, and I myself was an animal control officer. So I was told that when I was hired. Let's see here. Finished last in class of 33. 9th grade reading level, took final exam twice before passing. Okay, no, you know what? I still passed the academy. I still became a certified officer, and no matter where you fall, I did not fall short. Falsely claim multiple endorsements. I did not falsely claim multiple endorsements. That was actually put in the Kingman Daily Miner, confirmed by Doug McBurdo. In addition, I would like to leave you with a funny comment. On the way to school, I expected my son to say, "Mommy, I'm happy to go to school today." His comment was, "Mommy, where do babies come from?" I'm just like blown away. Anyways, I'm over time. God bless you all. I just wanted to hit and address some of those issues And as I said, Kelly Ward has been attacked in the same way, and I am the only candidate that I'm sure is up here today that has had these and is trying to be publicly discredited when people have had multiple opportunities to ask me personally, and also the person who handed me this form publicly apologized to me last month. And the reason is because he did an inappropriate gesture. He absolutely did.
Because of you, he wants you in the room. Yeah, he's yours.
Oh, come on.
So
Let's get on, let someone else speak.
So the issue is that Steve has had multiple attempts to try to address these to me in different situations. And I'll tell you what, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, or I would not be standing before you offering my services right now. And I do have something to stand for, I wouldn't be here. I don't have to do this. Our factory is very sufficient. Very sufficient. I have something to offer, and I'm maintaining my rights to be able to run as your next Mohave County Sheriff. I ask for your support. God bless you all.
Are you blanking serious? I will not shut up.
Let the
hell's
next
matter with
person
you?
speak. Let the next person
He walks
speak.
into the office, her speech was because he walks in the office and says, vote Borelli, vote Archie.
Larry,
Okay, let's let the other candidates talk.
He did, I witnessed it, Terry. He's a jerk. What the hell's the matter with him?
Okay, let's move on. Go, John.
My name is John Plough, and I have nothing to do with that paper. Although I do have a copy of it in my wallet. It was handed to me by Steve Robinson.
Where's Steve, piece of crap, Robinson?
I'm an issue-driven candidate. I'm not a very good politician. Some of you may have heard me on the radio this morning, and if you did, I probably scared the heck out of you. As far as our Sheriff's Department goes, I think we have just a couple of issues that are Sheriff's Department related. The first one is the budget, the second one is recruiting, and the third one is this outburst is kind of taking it out of my head, so I'll address those two. I'm a Navy veteran and have been in government service for only about 8 years. That's probably the worst thing you can say about me. Other than that, I've worked in sales and have been self-employed for the last 10 years. The budget of the Mohave County Sheriff's Department, my understanding, is such a train wreck that nobody can make heads or tails of it. That's not a law enforcement issue, that's a management issue. The other thing I would like to address is recruiting. Recruiting is actually not a law enforcement issue either, that's a sales issue, and that goes directly to my experience. As far as why I'm in the race, I decided to run for sheriff because I was not hearing the kinds of things that I think we need to be hearing from our sheriffs with regards to national issues. Our country is slowly being taken over by not only wacko socialists but Islamists as well. The presidential candidate, who cannot be named in this room, her #1 advisor is on the payroll of Saudi Arabia. So if you would like to see your country taken over by the Saudis for yet another 8 years, go ahead and let Trump not get elected. You should all be fighting tooth and nail to convince anybody who tells you that they're a Republican and they're not voting for Trump that they are insane. Huma Abedin should be memorized by all of you. You should know who she is, what she's doing, and who she is advising. The country of Saudi Arabia, in league with the other Sunni nations, is systematically trying to take over the United States through immigration. We are a representative democracy. That means when they have the numbers, they have our government. Let that sink in. When they have the numbers, they have our government. If you talk to anyone who says we should be bringing in any refugees from the Middle East, they are clinically insane or stupid. We should not be bringing any of these people in. The border should be closed. The ones we brought in should be sent out. Remember, we're a representative democracy. When they have the numbers, they will have our government. They don't have the numbers now, and they have the White House. Obama is a Muslim, regardless of what people have to say. Our sheriff, or let me rephrase this, our federal government is out of control on all levels, not just with the immigration issue, and the sheriffs have the legal authority to protect their counties using laws that are already on the books. If I become your sheriff, you're not going to have to worry about any more of our ranchers getting killed, and you're not going to jail for digging a pond in your yard. My name's John Plough. Thank you for listening.
I hope you
guys don't mind, I'm gonna move over here.
Not
because
intending
I really
to.
don't wanna hear myself in
Good idea.
the reverberation there. My name is Rodney Head, and I am running for sheriff. I've been here in Mohave County for about 48 years and involved in law enforcement here in Mohave County for 38 of those. I've spent 8 years with the sheriff's office, my first go around out of high school. I was fortunate enough to be hired by the sheriff, and he thought I belonged in Bullhead City rather than Kingman where I lived. So I went down there and for 8 years worked the Mohave County Sheriff's Station in Bullhead City. When the city incorporated, I moved to the police department and had a chance to be a founding member there. It was a great opportunity for me. Obviously, I spent the next 29 years working for that organization in every function and at every rank there at the Bullhead City Police Department. The last 13 years I spent as the police chief. Just a little about my experience and then a little about my training. I've been a graduate of the FBI Academy, the Southwest Command College, and the Rural Executive Management Institute. I was asked last year by our current sheriff, Jim McCabe, to come replace his chief deputy who was retiring because of the retirement system and the way the system works. So when he retired, I went back to work for the sheriff's office. I will tell you a little bit about what I found when I got there because I know what it was like when I left. I found an organization that has great equipment, but we're lacking in how we treat our most important resource there, and that's our deputies, and how we pay them and how we try and retain them. So some of the things that I've been working on since I've been there is our recruitment efforts. We've shortened up the time it takes to get someone hired because time's money. Getting people in the organization and getting them started is a great thing for us, and being able to do that is very important. We've also worked very hard to try and find a way to bring some salaries up for our tenured law enforcement personnel. When they can leave any day of the week after they've been there for 8 years and get a $5,000 raise to go to a local law enforcement agency, we're going to be losing them. The dedication that they show by staying is an amazing thing, as Doug has said before, and I absolutely agree with him. Now, I think they do like the freedom that the sheriff's office gives because it is different than municipal law enforcement, but freedom only goes so far. You know, you gotta have money to feed your family. You have to do those things. Hopefully, we'll be able to work with the Board of Supervisors over the next 4 years to make some of those inequities go away. But again, we've been given a great blessing in many of those personnel, and seeing them leave over money is a terrible thing for us. So I would like to be your next sheriff. I'd appreciate you giving me your vote. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay? All right, I want to thank you all for coming out. All the candidates have been working very, very hard. All the candidates are working very, very hard to reach out to as many people as they can, because we all believe we have what it takes to be your next sheriff. My name is Doug Schuster. I'm asking for your vote as sheriff. And I will tell you that I spent a little over 26 years working for the sheriff's office. I spent my entire adult career with Mohave County, and I'm very proud of it. And I'm very proud of the men and women that still work there. How it played out for me, quite honestly, when I retired out in June of 2015, I took a job as a pro tem judge, and I was very thankful that I was able to get out of the sheriff's office at that time, because it was declining. The morale was very, very bad. So I was blessed that I was able to walk away. Having retired for 26 years, the deputies started calling me afterwards. They said, "Doug, would you consider coming back? Would you run for sheriff?" So of course, being a strong, solid man, I did the right thing. I went right to my wife and said, "Honey, what do you think?" And my wife said, "No way, you're not getting back into that mess," because she was there along with me the whole ride. She understands point blank what the officers go through on a daily basis. So after sitting down with my wife, she's on board 110%. I like to tease her, but she's got my backing, and without her, I wouldn't be here. Okay, I have been very blessed in my life. Been very blessed, and if nothing else good comes my way, I will stand here with a smile and say it's okay. I have 3 beautiful children. My wife and I just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary, and I am in this for you. That's why I'm doing this. The public expects and deserves service. The public expects and deserves adequate, timely service, and we're not providing that right now. When I started, it was very important for me as a deputy to go out and handle these calls with the overall concept of solving the crime. That's why we're doing it. We're supposed to solve the crime. What we do now is we document. You call up and you say, hey, someone broke in my garage and my bike was stolen. And we're gonna come out and we're gonna write down exactly what you said, and we're gonna give you a case number, and we're gonna move on. And it's not on the deputies. I need you to understand. I want you to picture yourself as a deputy for a minute. We are down 17 positions, is that correct?
19.
Maybe more now, they're dropping like flies. Anyhow, we are down such a dramatic number that when the average deputy checks on, he has many calls holding. So he has to prioritize, which one do we handle first? Well, now the person who called in about the barking dog, that's very important to him, but it might be the last call on that list. So by the time the deputy who's working very hard gets to that call, it's been 2 hours. And the first thing he hears is, where have you been? Your response time is terrible, but it's not on him. Okay, I respect the men and women that do this job, and I respect the fact that they would lay down their lives for you. Okay, I think we all need to appreciate our law enforcement a little bit better.
That's right, that's right.
Is that all it takes for a clap? I think we all need to appreciate our law enforcement a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyhow, I could talk all day because that's what I like doing, but I'm going to end because I'm out of time. I want to say thank you very much for coming and listening. Any question you have, I'm available. Please remember on August 30th or before, vote Doug Schuster for sheriff. Thank you very much.
My name is Joe Archie, and I too am a candidate for Mohave County Sheriff. I am a U.S. Army veteran, an NRA member. Second Amendment means a great deal to me. And I started my career at Tucson Police Department, where I put in a little over 6 years, and then ended up at Lake Havasu PD for the second part of my career, where I worked for 25 years. I have worked in every aspect of law enforcement. There's not one area that I have not either worked in or supervised. So I have a great deal of training, knowledge, and command experience. I retired as a lieutenant, and my last 7 years I was the Academy Commander for the Western Arizona Law Enforcement Training Academy. So I have the command experience. I ran the budget. I've done everything there is to do in a law enforcement career. And I think that qualifies me to be a candidate. I have a lot of fresh, new ideas that I'd like to bring to the Sheriff Department to make it the agency that everyone expects it to be. I'm aware of a lot of problems. On my website, I have addressed numerous problems with my plan of action of how to solve them. Remote duty stations to reduce the response time and to put people in the community so we improve community service and public relations and to get people out there. I can solve the attrition rate by changing leadership, and my pay plan that I presented to the board and talked to them. It's a 3-year plan that will solve the issues if we're able to get people to understand it. And so it's, I'm married. I have 4 kids, 4 grandkids, and I retired a year ago in April from Lake Havasu PD, as I said, as a lieutenant. And so I would appreciate your vote. Can't think of much else to tell you, but a lot of you have already voted. I hope you vetted your candidates before you voted, and thank you very much.
I'm John Gillette. I think I've spoken to everyone in this room, personally, privately. I know many of you have looked at my website. But I want to tell Miss Merryman, did I turn it off or am I just?
No, just speak louder.
How's this?
There you go.
I want to tell Miss Merryman. Well, if I do that, apparently I'm scary, and that gets to my point. She's not the only candidate that's been attacked. We have all suffered attacks. I've been. My wife came home almost crying because I've been called a maniac. I've been called a murderer because of my service to my country. It's been denigrated by other campaigns because I serve my country. Because I'm a veteran of every armed conflict since the invasion of Panama, that makes me a post-traumatic stress disorder candidate. That makes me a maniac, that makes me evil. I'm the only one in this room that picked up a weapon, went to war for your country and Constitution.
All right
That's
now.
it. So, to be honest, I'm really tired of the shenanigans myself. I'm completely off of my stump speech. Like I said, I've spoken to everyone in the room. You've got my flyers, you know my website's out there, and you know you have to type it in directly because of the political shenanigans. And this goes back to what Doc was saying earlier. This is why Republicans lose. I've never been involved in politics. Many of you know, I served for President Obama. I also served for Bush and Reagan. I was on Obama's direct team to keep that individual alive before he was turned over to the Secret Service. I wrote the operation order, I did the event, and there was 2 valid attacks, and you can look this up. A gentleman from Oklahoma and another one from Alaska came to our venue with a rifle to kill this individual before we gave him over to Secret Service. I think Sue Ellen looked it up and found that I said was true. I can't even use the investigative and leadership skills to put that major detail together because I'm a Democrat. I'm supporting the Democrats. I'm a flip-flopper. So this is why Republicans lose. If we don't pull our heads out of our rears and get together on the same sheet of music, there are many qualified candidates up here. There are some that are not qualified. But if we don't start acting like normal individuals and electing people in office that can do the job, then Hillary will be president. And yes, I have worked for her as well. And I can tell you she has the blood of many Americans and other individuals on her hands.
Yes.
And I can't go into detail, but if you see me privately, I will violate part of my security clearance, and I will show you the documents. Everybody remember the attack in New Orleans a short time ago?
Right.
Which one?
New Orleans attack?
New Orleans.
Chief, you're the acting chief deputy. Did you see any warning from the FBI on that?
Something bad's gonna happen somewhere.
That's right.
That's the warning we get from the FBI.
But I've showed it to a couple of people in the room, and it's not classified. I'm willing to show it to anybody now. There was, and I showed this to my wife, there was direct warning from the FBI to those officers down there that an attack was imminent. They gave a date time group, we shouldn't talk military, they gave a timeline in which this attack was going to occur. It's an FBI document. A lot of the stuff was pulled off of social media. They pulled it off social media, and guess what? The administration didn't let the trickle down happen. So those cops were killed and injured, and we had the intelligence. Yes, it was the Baton Rouge. I showed that document to Dr. Schiff at the radio show. It was out there. This stuff is happening. It's happening right now. So please vet all of us. Please look at what we've done in our past. Please look at our websites. Make a decision. I am the candidate with the outside experience. I've done this on a global scale with more than just 200 people. That's all I have. Thank you.
So I'd like to open it up to the audience for questions. There's questions. Mr. Barber.
I don't have a question, but for Cori, I wanted that piece of paper because I'm 85 years old and I recognize trash when I see it.
Thank you.
Everything is right from a personnel file.
Steve,
Steve, let it-
shut it down. Stop.
Let's get some questions from, yes.
The question about coming up with money to enhance the pay package so we don't lose deputies to other departments for more money. Does that mean a tax increase, or are you able to shift the categories of the budget and transfer from one account to another?
Is that for me?
Anybody who would like to answer that?
I'll answer.
We'll all take it.
I'll take it.
1 minute each.
Okay, one whole minute, okay.
Go.
Inside the county's budget, there are some, what they call impound funds, or funds that are put away for certain things. In my discussions with members of the Board of Supervisors, they believe, like I do, that some of those particular funds are overfunded, and that the money could, and I won't say be swept or raided or whatever, but could be reallocated to things like increases for the deputy sheriffs, increases for the personnel that are leaving us over those things. So working not just inside the sheriff's budget, but inside the county budget as a whole, and since I still have 18 seconds left, the sheriff's budget is the same as the county's budget, so they're all written the same way. And in order for us to understand the sheriff's budget, we need to be able to understand the entire county budget, and that's going to be a Herculean task. But yes, there is some money there.
Well, as a business owner, managing hundreds of accounts, actually 630, I've addressed this from day one, zero-based budgeting. I have to account for every single dollar I spent at our factory. And I feel that your tax dollars should be justified the same way. So the money will be reallocated to where it needs to go, such as for raises for the hardworking and dedicated employees of not just the sheriff's office per se, the deputies, detention officers, but all of the Mohave County employees. So if you look before you, I am the only business owner. I have the capability to do that, to build the budget up from zero. Some of the programs are not zero-based budgeting. They work solely off of grants, like our K-9 program. I would like the K-9 program to become a part of our budget. I do not feel that the K-9 officers should be having to work hard for their donations. I should feel that they should be working hard to serve the community.
Thank you.
I'm of the view that the sheriff's department is understaffed by at least half. That's not my opinion. We are missing the national standard. I'll explain that, but we only have a minute, so I won't. The question of who's going to raise taxes, where the money's going to come from, or any of that, that's a question for the county supervisors and for the taxpayers. Doug addressed the fact that when the deputy comes on patrol, he's got calls that he needs to make to get to. They get like 13,000 plus calls every year. We have less than 100 deputies. Do the math. That's a lot. If you want to have your burglaries investigated properly, if you want the deputies to be able to spend more time at your residence, quite frankly, we need more deputies. I don't think the county has the money. I have been told that they have. In order to bring us up to staff, we're probably looking at another $8 million in that budget, maybe more. So you guys have to decide whether or not you want to have the level of protection that the national standard says you should have, or you want to have low taxes. If I'm elected, I will do the best to make sure that the county supervisors know what we need. It'll be up to you to decide whether or not you want to give it to them.
All right now.
Okay, pretty much the same thing, except I want to do something a little different. I want to separate the sheriff's budget. I want to forecast the sheriff's budget from the bare start, and that's what needs to be done. The county, you can say what you want about the board members, and I've said this with those in the room before. They may not make decisions that we agree with, but they have a budget surplus. How do you lose? We have more money than we were supposed to have. So if I present a plan, or any of us submit a plan, that is a good plan that funds the deputies, gets us to the correct staffing and manning that we need, why would they not fund it? One, it would be political suicide. Two, it would be unsafe for the populace. So someone needs to forecast the budget correctly, put the numbers down in easy terms to understand. Most of that goes to personnel. I agree with the chief, the equipment is top notch over there, but we need personnel. Now, as far as the K-9 and search and rescue, those should not be self-funded. They need to be funded by the sheriff's department. They work for the county.
Right,
They are out
that's
there
right.
serving the public. They need to be funded.
That's
We
true.
work on plan
By the county. They can take some HERF funds and get some employees.
The budget issue is a very complicated issue. It can't even remotely be addressed in 1 minute. But you can adjust figures. I'm not in favor of taxes. I think my taxes are too high. So what you have to do is look at every aspect of the law enforcement and change what you can to reduce that. That's where I said remote duty stations will put the deputies in the communities they serve, so they're not running back and forth from Meadview to Chloride or wherever and burning up gas and wear and tear on the cars. That saves money. If you look at, instead of overtime overall, look at the hours they work, the calls for service, and the times of the service, and allocate your personnel according to that. I've done all that with Havasu PD. We had $1 million overtime budget. When the bottom fell out, we went down to a total of a $300,000 overtime budget with mandatory overtime to all the personnel. So it can be done. It's just a matter of getting in there and being able to allocate and look at all the line items and figure out where it's going to come from.
Okay, well, they're pretty much spot on. We all recognize that we need to raise funding to keep our deputies and to increase our staffing. The plus is, it's twofold. Number one, because of this election cycle, it's now been brought to the forefront, so it's going to be addressed, and that's a wonderful thing. We have a solid group over at the Board of Supervisors who understand it, and I'm going to let you in on a secret. Don't repeat this. Hildy Angus is here today. Hildy promised me $22 million in the budget.
All right. Woo! Well, we got almost that in her.
22 million more.
We'll take that from her.
Maybe I dreamt that. I'm not sure.
Add to it.
But the bottom line, folks, in all seriousness, we recognize the problem. I'm wholeheartedly about going through the internal budget first. If we can sweep money out of our own budgeting to enhance this program, great. At some point, we're going to end up in front of the Board of Supervisors, and I believe, like Joe believes, that they're going to do the right thing because they recognize the problem. They want what's best for you as well as the Sheriff's Department.
I heard that Sonny promised $44 million.
Do I hear 70 going once?
Yeah, right.
All right.
From the personal Angus collection. Hey,
I want to know where each one of you stand on the legalization of marijuana and if you change your stance on
okay.
Say the question.
They want to know where they stand on the legalization of recreational marijuana.
Okay, well, here's my answer. I had a debate down in Bullhead, and I kind of, based on the question, said I support legalizing marijuana, and I don't. I'm against legalizing marijuana. The point I was trying to make is right now the system is broken. We catch somebody that's in possession of marijuana, they produce a marijuana medical card that they got 2 days ago, and the charge goes away. Or better yet, the deputy goes out and arrests that person for possession of marijuana. We put them in jail, they go to the judge the next day. Law does not allow them to do any time in jail because of that offense. Now they go out after the fact and get a medical marijuana card, and the charge is dismissed, and that's an incredible waste of time, money, and resources. So if I had it my way, absolutely make it completely illegal, but the point being is either make it legal or make it illegal. The sheriff's office is always going to enforce the law for what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
My answer is emphatically no. I worked narcotics for 8 years. I was a narcotics supervisor for 3 more, and marijuana is a gateway drug. The biggest issue is you are always going to have this problem until somebody above our rank closes the border. The drugs are coming across the border. They're not coming from here. They're not coming from anywhere else. Methamphetamine use, there used to be Klein labs all over Kingman, Havasu, Bullhead. I worked them. Then the DEA put all kinds of restrictions on the chemicals. All of it is coming from Mexico. The marijuana is coming from Mexico. Everything comes from Mexico. Until we stop that, we are not going to stop drugs. But marijuana is a gateway drug. It leads, if you're using it, it leads you to cocaine, meth, heroin, and the other things. So emphatically no is my answer.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to talk quick here because I know some people are probably for it. They don't want to raise their hand. I am dead set against it. Who here knows the difference between recreational marijuana and medicinal marijuana?
Yeah.
There is none, right. No one regulates it, so it's between your drug dealer or your prescriber and the person. So there is no difference, and as Joe said, and we all agree, I've worked dope as well. It is a gateway drug. It leads downward for that person's life, and they drag their entire family down with them.
Yes.
And you can say that violent crime is not associated with marijuana. I can show you case reports and videos of an individual being tortured. A brother of one of the dealers was tortured because he gave up information. So it is a violent crime, and as Joe said, it does come from the border. My wife and I own 220 acres of beautiful, useless property on the Mexican border on Highway 80 in Cochise County. Drugs, crime, theft, murder, it's right there. Useless property because of this. So I'm totally against it.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, for a number of reasons. A lot of them already said, so since I only get a minute, I won't cover all those. But if you're even slightly considering talking to people about this issue, please read the initiative. Please read what it does to our employers, to our police officers, to everybody that would have to be involved. There's actually a portion of that initiative that talks about employers not being able to discipline, not being able to deal with people that come to their appointment stoned, and law enforcement not having any way in the world to test someone for their level of marijuana intoxication. So as a police officer, we stop somebody, we know they've been having a little of the pipe there, and we're trying to figure out, okay, they're intoxicated, we do our DRE, we do all the things we've been taught to do, but we can't take them and test them for marijuana metabolites, because that's what this initiative says. Please, read it. I know it's like 15,000 pages, but read as much of it as you can stomach to read, and look specifically for the way it hamstrings employers, law enforcement, and everyone else. So, again, yeah, no.
I got myself in trouble in Bullhead.
Only once?
Not with dope. I'm not a doper. I don't smoke dope or do any drugs at all. I don't have a stance on whether marijuana should be legal or not. I tell people who say they want to smoke it, don't smoke it. As sheriff, if it's illegal, we'll enforce whatever the law is. Based on what Rodney had just said, it sounds like this initiative is a bad idea and poorly written law, and you should probably vote against it. Whether it passes or not, I still won't smoke dope. I won't snort coke or anything else. My mind is too precious to burn out.
That's right. Thank you.
Marijuana is actually something that should be addressed to our state representatives and our Senate level. The position of sheriff, we're actually making it into a gray area. It's a constitutional position, the position of Mohave County Sheriff. And our job is to protect, serve, and enforce the laws. I will tell you personally, my family has felt the crutch of marijuana being a gateway drug for one of my family members who had to go through rehab, and it almost crushed my family. So I will tell you that I've experienced that firsthand. Now on the other side, I've had a terminally ill family member dying of cancer who used marijuana, and it was very effective. But the problem is as other candidates have said before you, how do we control that? How do we approve those laws so that we aren't facing that crutch of employees not being able to be tested? And I'll tell you what, marijuana isn't what it was in the 60s.
Sure is.
I've dealt with CPS caseworkers who have told me that it's more like LSD now. It is not the same. It is crippling the children that we are bringing into the world by the parents who are smoking it. So that's my answer.
By the way, I have a lot of experience with it, and right,
Smoking
much
it?
more. We really don't want to
Not
I don't know that I was going to quite that way, but
I didn't hear that. Thanks, Bill. Susan.
You've all addressed the issue of lack of staffing. I haven't heard anybody address yet training, particularly in light of what's happening in our new United States with the issues with ISIS and the lack of respect for police, but also the lack of skill that many of us have seen in Mohave County with regards to customer service, report writing. What you say does not always hit that form, and I'd like to hear some of that, please. Yes. And thank you all for
Well, let's hold it down to 30 seconds because we're getting short on time.
30 seconds.
Actually, part of my plan, I started launching my videos on YouTube and on Facebook, and part of my action plan, how many of you go to the doctor and there's medical transcription? Yeah. I would like that to be utilized at the sheriff's office. That way there is no issues with report writing. I would also like to mandate monthly training. We are in a time in our nation where if our law enforcement isn't being treated with the respect and dignity that they deserve, what's going to happen to the rest of us? We need awareness, and the only way to get awareness is through education and training, and that's part of my budget program, to rebuild the budget from zero and the transcription. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The sergeants and lieutenants supervise your deputies, and they're the ones who are supposed to be monitoring the report writing and whatnot, finding out who it is that maybe needs remedial training or who just needs to be removed because they're not up to being able to do the job. The chief deputy is supposed to monitor all those people. You all know I'm not a professional law enforcement guy, so I will be bringing in a chief deputy who has worked in a larger department and who has the experience to straighten these out, but I'm also smart enough to know if my sergeants and lieutenants are doing the jobs, I'll be bird dogging them as well.
The issue of training is very important. It's been very important to law enforcement for a long period of time, and obviously will continue to be. Not to harp on it, but the fact of the matter is, if we take someone off the road for 8 hours of training, that's 8 hours of service they're not giving you. But we need to instill all the way from the top to the bottom customer service. Customer service works its way into every one of those arenas: report writing, investigating, working with the communities, and being part of your community. And that's important to me.
What I bring from the federal government is training. That's about the only thing that federal law enforcement and the military do well, and that is training. I know how to train soldiers, train officers, and train in the counterterrorism field, of which I just spent my last since 2007 in the Middle East. Training is important, but it has to be coupled with background knowledge. And right now, the background knowledge of what's going on, to answer your question in the United States, I'm going to go over time just a little. But Sharia law, and every mosque in the United States, to be an ordained mosque, there's an Arabic word, and I can't remember it right now, but to be a mosque, it has to have a Sharia court and have one person that can administer Sharia law. Not a lot of cops know about that. We need to let them know, and that's where we start looking for the terrorists. Please look at my website, that's all I have.
Okay, the clock's already running, so I'll talk faster. Every law enforcement officer that's done any time will express to you the value of training. We need it, we have to continue it, and it has to be value training. The problem we're facing right now is the staffing, because like Rodney said, we can put up a training session tomorrow, but if you take 8 guys off the street, you don't have patrol for 8 hours. That's how thin we are. I believe in in-house training, so we're not spending money to send people off, and we have a lot of good in-house trainers that can get the job done. So training is a big part of what I want to bring in, and since John went over, I'm going to go over real quick. In law enforcement, every officer has a certain mandated amount of hours that they must perform in training each year.
Right.
It's bare minimum. The standard, in my opinion, should be raised. For instance, 24 hours of training in a year. That's 3 days of training, and that's really not sufficient. Part of that involves your driving training, your handgun, your proficiency type thing. So I would love to bring in more training, and I would love to work with other agencies in Mohave County to train together, because I think collectively as a group, we can be strong and united. Thank you.
But don't you have to have training in order to carry that weapon?
That's proficiency training. You could do that, that's what he said. Proficiency and continuing training.
Yes.
And proficiency is handgun.
Right.
And driver's training.
Right.
Being the academy commander, that's what I did, was training. I was in charge of training and recruiting for the department. So training is absolutely critical. I hear excuses of we can't afford the overtime to send people to training. You can't afford not to. And what you do is you adjust the schedule for the people who are off duty, and yeah, you're going to have to pay them overtime. You don't take people off the street to send them to training. You take the people that are off duty and you adjust the training so that they get their training. It too is complicated, but training is absolutely one of the most important factors you can have.
Yes.
I guess it is about 1 o'clock.
It is.
And I don't want to go over because I have to follow the law.
Or you'll be arrested.
I do, by the way. Mr. Barber wanted to say something just for a minute. For 1 minute. This is Fred Barber, by the way, for people who don't know.
I'm Fred Barber, from Lake Havasu. I'm the treasurer of the truck bill warden, which is over meals. It went up last Monday at 7:30 in the morning, and it'll go down in the afternoon on the day of the election. And I want to thank all of you for your generous contribution to put up the billboard.
Fred, you need to let them know where it is because it is up.
Yeah, I went up last Monday. We were in the News Herald this morning, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Picture and an article. It's right off of J Street. As you cross J Street going to the People's Republic of California. You see the sign off to the left.
Right.
Great job, thank you.
Yeah,
Fred.
thank you. Good for that.
I just want to say, I want to thank everyone here. We had a really successful picnic. We haven't completed the financial part, but I'm gonna be safe to say we made somewhere between $700 and $7,500 from Thank you, District 1, and anyone who was involved and helpful. Amanda, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It was really, really successful.
It was, yes.
You know, we had a lot, we expected like 150, we had closer to
300.
twice that. And it was, and people had a really good time.
Yes.
Nancy, you wanted to say something quickly?
Yes.
It's about the speaking about the marijuana.
Yes, the marijuana. Remember this date, September 13th, at Journey Church from 7 to 9 p.m. Kingman Republican Women, along with the Arizonans for Responsible Drug Policy out of Phoenix, are hosting a presentation on the legalization of marijuana. Of course, we are all against it, and the presenters, one of them is Shirley Polk, who is the Yavapai County Attorney, and she will be one of the speakers. They will give you hard facts on why not to vote for this. And I urge everybody to come. It's not a debate, it's just a factual presentation on why we should not pass this legislation.
Right.
So there's two reasons why we shouldn't pass the legislation, actually. One is because of the fact that, because it's a gateway drug and just the properties of marijuana. But the other thing that is really, if anybody has read that initiative, and I've read parts of that initiative, and I put out a thing on propositions every year. If you read that initiative, even if you're pro-marijuana, you ought to be against this initiative, just like Rodney had said, because this initiative is written so poorly that law enforcement, you can literally be driving under the influence of marijuana and they pull you over and they can't arrest you.
I don't think it was written poorly. I
Can't
think
even
it was
test.
written purposely.
Yeah,
it was written on purpose
I
that
think
way.
that was left out for a reason, because you can't
It
even
was
test.
done purposely,
It's
not poorly.
really, this initiative is written, you may be right, it's written purposely to do it, but it just ties the hands of everybody. And it's really, even if you're pro-marijuana, you shouldn't be pro.
It will be on the ballot in November.
Yeah. I would just like to say that the hours for our headquarters is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Friday mornings from 10 a.m. to 1, and Monday afternoons from 1 p.m. to 4. Now, I have 11 Trump signs that I will be taking to the office this evening, and we are asking a donation of $10. I'm not asking a donation, okay, but we're asking a donation of $10, and that money will be going to Trump, okay? So I do have a few,
Okay.
if you're interested.
Who's gonna, I don't want to pick favorites here, so.
I'll draw because I had to get a ticket.
Go ahead. We have, by the way,
Okay, you're on the hot seat now.
156,000 Colombian pesos.